Epicurus told his followers to eat bread and water. Everyone thinks he was a liar. I've stood in enough war zones to recognize propaganda when I see it. And that's what we've done to Epicurus. We've lied about him for 2,000 years. The man's name became synonymous with excess, with silk sheets and roasted meats, and the kind of hedonism that makes philosophers wince. Textbooks say he taught pleasure above all else. Sounds straightforward, right? A man who wanted to live like a king, surrounded by luxury and willing slaves. But I've read the logbook myself, the fragments of his actual letters, preserved by later writers. And what I found was a man at war with the very thing his reputation promised. Epicurus lived around 307 BCE in Athens during a time of genuine chaos. The city-state system was collapsing. Wars were constant. Uncertainty was the only reliable thing. And into that world, Epicurus built a garden. Not a palace, a garden. He invited friends there, a small circle, maybe a dozen people at most. They lived simply. The historical record shows they ate barley bread, cheese, water, and occasional figs. Luxuries were rare and carefully chosen. When someone sent him a gift of expensive food, Epicurus wrote back something that should have changed everything. Send me a part of cheese, that when I wish to feast sumptuously, I may have wherewith to do so. That's the real Epicurus talking, not a glutton. A man strategizing pleasure the way a general strategizes survival. And that's where the thesis everyone teaches starts to crack. The accepted story says Epicureanism meant maximize pleasure, minimize pain. That sounds hedonistic. But when you read what Epicurus actually believed, it's almost the opposite. He taught that most desires are false. That's the pivot point. Epicurus divided human wants into three categories: necessary and natural, natural but unnecessary and vain. The first, hunger, thirst, shelter, friendship, those are worth pursuing. The second, fine wines, expensive clothes, fancy meals, those create more suffering than satisfaction because they're never enough. And the third, pure vanity, status, wealth, power. Those are traps that destroy peace of mind. Here's where I saw this pattern repeat in the field. Soldiers with everything suffered more than soldiers with nothing. The ones obsessed with mail from home, with promotions, with proving something, they broke. The ones who'd accepted their situation, who found peace in simple routines and trusted friendships, they endured. Epicurus understood that mechanism 2 millennia before psychology gave it a name. So what was his actual philosophy? Not eat, drink, be merry. It was eliminate unnecessary desires so the necessary ones become satisfying. Pain, he argued, comes from craving what you don't have. Freedom comes from wanting only what's easily obtainable. Pleasure, real pleasure, is the absence of pain, physical pain and mental disturbance. That's called ataraxia, peace, tranquility. This is the moment the real explanation emerges, and it changes everything. Epicurus wasn't a hedonist. He was a strategist of contentment in a world falling apart. He looked at the chaos around him, the political instability, the endless competition, the way men destroyed themselves chasing status, and he built a philosophy specifically designed to inoculate against that chaos. His garden wasn't escapism, it was resistance. The world told him, acquire, compete, accumulate, prove yourself. And Epicurus said, no, I'm going to want less. I'm going to choose friends over status. I'm going to eat bread and water not because I'm poor, but because I've calculated that this is the path to actual satisfaction. He was a radical, just not the kind anyone expected. And here's what hits hardest when you understand this. His philosophy was designed for chaos, not stability. He taught it during war and uncertainty. The garden wasn't a retreat from reality, it was a tactical response to it. In a world where external conditions are unstable, the only thing you can truly control is your own desires. So he controlled them, ruthlessly. The implications are sharp for us now. We live in a chaos Epicurus would recognize: constant information, endless products, perpetual comparison through screens. The pressure to want more, be more, achieve more is relentless. And we're burning out because we're chasing the wrong definition of pleasure. We think it's accumulation. Epicurus knew it was subtraction. This isn't about becoming an ascetic. Epicurus enjoyed good wine, occasionally. He valued beautiful conversation. He advocated for friendship as the highest good, but he did these things consciously, not compulsively. He'd calculated the return on investment. A simple meal with a trusted friend, that's a permanent pleasure. An expensive meal with people who don't know you, that's temporary and leaves you wanting. The real power of Epicureanism is that it's a strategy for freedom. When you stop wanting unnecessary things, you stop being enslaved to the systems that profit from your wanting. You stop needing the promotion, the luxury car, the envy of strangers. You become dangerous to the machine. Epicurus knew this. That's why his reputation was destroyed by people who benefited from keeping you hungry. What he actually taught was this: pleasure is real and it's worth pursuing. But true pleasure is simple, obtainable, and renewable. It doesn't require permission or money or status. It requires intention, a quiet morning, a conversation that matters, food that satisfies hunger, friends who know you. These aren't consolation prizes for people who can't afford luxury. They're the actual architecture of a good life. I've watched people die in the field with nothing, and I've watched people with everything suffocate under the weight of maintaining it. The ones who survived, really survived, psychologically, spiritually, were the ones who'd learned Epicurus's lesson before they learned it. They wanted less, not because they were forced to, but because they'd figured out it was the only path to peace. The garden still matters, not as a literal place, though if you can make one do, but as a principle, a commitment to examine every desire and ask, is this necessary? Does it lead to lasting satisfaction, or am I chasing the ghost of something that will never be enough? Epicurus would tell you to cut ruthlessly. Keep only what feeds you. That's the real philosophy, not indulgence. Clarity, not more, enough. And in a world that profits from convincing you that nothing is ever enough, that's the most radical stance you can take. Subscribe. Each week, we dismantle a lie history told about an idea you thought you knew.